Ladies and gentlemen, happy Tuesday. Welcome to another episode of Delve Requisite right here on Proficiency Bonus. We pick up right where we left off with a Delve Requisite Fool's Errant portion of our campaign. The group, the Fool's Errant, is currently in the Ignian / Mythlindian contested border town of Talmark, where they have kind of botched getting their way into the town. Underwent a fight with some Ignian guardsmen, and have escaped under the cover of some smoke bombs, led by one individual, Requisite, who we have learned through Aelar is kind of an old contact of his from his smuggling, questionable legality, this and that.
Back in story days.
Yes. We're going to pick up pretty much right where we left off last week, but I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Little Dragon Corp and Cardboard Castle. You can get a link to either of those websites by typing Little Dragon, Little Dragon, or C. Hang on. CCG. CCG?
Yes.
Cardboard Castle Games. Into... man, we gotta make that. I gotta change that. Should be like CBC Cardboard Castle. Anyway, either of those links will take you to their websites where you can peruse their fine goods. If you buy anything from Little Dragon Corp, you can use our code BONUS at checkout to get 15% off of your order. So you will, of course, notice that both Walter and Osrius are not here. Walter may join us at some point. If I'm going to leave it to you guys, depending on when his nonsense wraps up. If he is able to join us and like pings us in Discord somewhere, flag me down, let me know, because I won't see it. We'll take a brief pause so I can reconfigure and we can get him set up here. And Osrius will not be joining us tonight. But we will pick up where we left off. You guys are in a dark alleyway. Walter had kind of like disappeared off for 30-40 seconds and then like appears again, Misty stepping back, nodding to the hooded figure that has like come to your guys' aid to tell him that he did indeed throw a smoke bomb down the other corridor to kind of help cover your guys' escape. The individual sort of like draws his hood back. You see that he is at first you think he might be, he looks to be human. He's in his like mid to late 30s. He has dark hair, dark eyes. He has kind of like a nut brown skin with just a little bit of a reddish tint to it. But as he like draws his hood back, you see that he has just two very subtle like points at his like temples of two little horns. He kind of looks to you guys. I believe last week Aelar made the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Requisite. For his part, Requisite says, I am sure it'd be a pleasure, but we really should be getting indoors and off the street before they come looking for us anymore. If you'd follow me quick, I'll take you back to a safe place. Come on.
I got the rear.
An astounding idea, says Brahm with his 15 hit points.
He says, right then, quickly, quietly, let's go. And he leads you through a number of like kind of back alleys and side streets, eventually bringing you to the back of like a row of buildings. He goes to a back door in like the alley behind this row of buildings. Takes a key from his pocket and unlocks the door. Opens it up and kind of like waves you guys inside. Behind you, he closes and locks the door. A few moments of like complete darkness pass, and then you hear kind of a muttered muttered curse, and like a spark flares, and an oil lamp is lit. Raxus Thorn holds this oil lamp, which he uses to like guide you guys out of this back room that you're in. You're in a small chamber that has a lot of like shelves with sheaves of parchment and various scrolls and papers and quills and ink and things like that. It takes you out of this back room into the front chamber of this whatever this building he's led you to, where you see that there is like a long table, several chairs, and kind of like a desk set up. The shutters to the windows you see lead out, giving you a view of like a small square out on the street. There is a staircase which leads upwards towards the second story of this building to your guys' left. And Raxus sets this lantern down on the table in the center of the room, and moves over towards the windows, which he then begins like closing and latching these shutters.
Aelar goes and helps him lock up the
lock these. Aelar, you see there is a sign which is quite familiar to you, as it has hung above this establishment. It denotes the nature of this business, which you guys are in the sort of front room of, as Raxus Thorn Moneylender. You know this to be the legitimate front of his business enterprise here. Once you guys have closed all of the shutters and things like that, Thorn kind of turns around. He looks at you. He goes, "Well, I am
not how not how I meant to meet you, Rax. I apologize."
He shakes his head and he says, "These be uncertain times. I imagine you've got a bit of a story to tell."
Oh, do I? But first, I've introduced you to them. Let me introduce them to you. Ram Repluck, Walter Gray, Big Guys Osrius, Zintris, Rogers, Carlisle, and
Rana is the last.
Rana.
Did they meet up with us? Or are they still in the outside?
Oh
of
no,
town?
actually that's true. Rogers and the boys are not in the city.
Oh, okay.
They took a runner.
You weren't here for that section. They
Yeah.
took the cart and the horses and they escaped back into the wilderness outside. They have one of your bags of holding with them currently. They're like your last communication with them was, I believe it was Walter told them like, take this bag, take the carts, like get out of Dodge, hide, wait for us, like wait for communication from us. So they're not currently present, the three of them.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
forgot that
missed
as well,
them.
actually.
Then scratch the last three.
Thorn kind of looks at the group of you and says, "Well, I'd say it was a pleasure to make your acquaintance, but under the circumstances, apologies, I suppose, are in order. Sounds like you've had a bit of a rough day today, to say the least. I've got to ask, times being what they are, it seems that most people with two pieces of sense to rub together are heading north, south, or west as fast as their legs or whatever pathetic scrap of a mule will carry them. You lot are heading directly into the maw of the beast, and if I know Aelar the way I do, I imagine that is not for nothing. You've got a purpose, I suppose, yeah?"
We do. Remember what you want to ask me when I asked a little bit more about what you did. You said you can unask a question before it's answered, but once it's answered, you can't unlearn the answer. So, I'm going to give you the chance to unask the question. Because you might really not want to know all the details.
He kind of ponders this for a moment, and he says, First things first. I responded to your incantation as briefly as I could. Your missive came early enough that it is my belief that your mother and a few others would have gotten out of Dodge before all of this went down. But you know me not to be a sugarcoater.
I know. I'd rather have the news, however bad it is.
He kind of shakes his head. He says, I've no news one way or another. I can tell you only that as your instructions, I sent her and some of the others to the estate of one Trolleyweather in Lagona. I would like to believe, did they make good time on the road, they are likely safely arriving there as we speak, or are already there. But I imagine you nor anyone could have known what were to come. I tell you, good on them if they've made it there, but honestly, they may have been just as safe here as anywhere else. The Ignian takeover of this town, I've seen more property damage and personal injury done in particularly unruly bar fights. The Ignian simply walked across the gully from Vale, and they were in charge. I've heard some of the reports from the rest of the nearby kingdoms and towns, scarce as they have been, as news coming in this direction has been few and far between, but here, this close to the border, there was no fight. The Ignians simply took over. I sincerely hope that those I sent there are well and protected in Lagona behind the Midlandian lines. But not long after they departed, you know as well as I do, the Queen marshalled her forces from the south, and the southeastern trade routes be the maw of the beast itself.
Thank you, Rex. That's another drink I owe you.
He kind of nods. He says, back to your original point. I haven't made the career that I had by shying away from information what would be disagreeable to those whose standards differ from my own. I might not have the fire and brimstone of my brother, but I have never shied away from doing my part to undo the tyranny what would be subjected upon others. In fact, as you're here, I presume it being for a purpose. If there is something that I can do to assist in that, it might be that we're in a position to help each other out.
Okay, well, you might want to sit down and pour yourself a drink. This is a bit of a long tale.
He says, very well. In fact, based on the evening that you've all had to get here, Sounds to me like you could all use a bit of a drink, and he gestures for you guys to like sit around the table. He says, I'll fetch a bit of the good stuff I've been saving for a rainy day. As he fetches that, I will fetch the anti-dog whining serum that needs to be fetched currently.
In the meantime, Brahm is gonna heal himself a bunch.
I was just gonna ask, does Brahm how many spell slots does Brahm have? Because I have spell slots to spare.
I used 2. I used a 4th level and a 3rd level to heal myself.
I mean, I've got spell slots to spare if you need some extra boosting.
I'm back up to 57.
Okay.
I've still got spell slots, so like.
Okay, I'll leave you be.
Yeah. If I desperately need it again, I can heal myself, but I don't want to blow them all just in case.
Yeah, just let me know.
Also, we'll hopefully get to long rest, and it won't matter.
So once everybody's situated, Aelar will drop the entire plot, as far as he knows, to Raxus.
Alrighty, so you kind of like fill him in, up to and including, I presume, the fact that your guys' current mission is to get into the Estelgath. Okay. He takes this in, he brings out like a bottle of like a dark amber brandy, which he pours into glasses for you guys, refilling whenever anybody is empty in need. He will continue to refill glasses. He himself drinks, but in very small sips. He is still kind of like nursing his first pour by the time you reach the end of your tale of everything that has happened in the course of your adventures. And he says, "Well, seems, my friend, that you have graduated to capers of a rather magnificent proportion."
Well, I climbed a hell of a lot higher than I expected to.
Right. I think, perhaps, we can be of assistance to each other after all. You lot need to be reunited with the other 3 of your party and your caravan and goods, which have been waylaid outside of the city. You need a way for the group of you all to get deep within the Ignian Empire's territory, so that you can proceed on towards your goal. I am presuming this is why you came here in the first place, as getting in and out of Ignian territory is a wee bit of a specialty of mine.
If it were just me, I'd try a border hop on my own, but large group, especially with, he points to Brahm, Osrius, with exotics, yeah.
I think I have a solution to your problem that will also solve one of my own.
Always happy to do a favor for a favor.
He says, so, I'm piecing a bit of this together from a bit of assumption, a bit of deduction, a bit of hearsay. As I said, the Ignian takeover of the city of the town was bloodless, swift, and altogether too civil for me to believe it were entirely without some subterfuge. What news I've heard seems to be that the treachery runs deep the Empire and their assault on the capital. But at the very least, some token resistance should have been put up. Talmark has always been a border town, set right across the gully from Vale, their forces, though it's never been necessary in living memory, have been ready for a skirmish to defend the border if need be. As I said, the takeover went down with naught but a whisper. It is my belief that Governor Pierce was on the take. The defense of the city, enough of them anyway, likewise. What I know since the power changed hands is this. Several of the higher-ranking city watch, guardsmen, and standing forces were unceremoniously clapped in irons and sent to the jail in the bottom of the keep beneath the center of town. I know that call him a new co-jailer was installed. He kind of nods to you, Aelar. He says, "You'll remember old Sherrod."
Do I?
He says he technically still sits as the town's sheriff and acting jailer, but an elven individual by the name of Yiddrath has been put sort of a cohort to him. Sherrod and I have had our disagreements, as have you and he, but he is a lawful man and loyal to Methlande. I don't know where he stands, though he still does keep watch over the prisoners in the jails. My problems are numerous. My problems are that the governor of this town, disagree as I may with him, I believe to be in the pocket of the Ignian Empire. That may be something that has to just be worked around. My real problem is that in addition to a number of what I assume to be the loyal guards of Talmark, there are a pair of individuals currently in the jails, brought here by the Ignians after their takeovers. Apparently the jails in their own town across the gully in the Vale were over full. A pair of individuals I have a vested interest in seeing freed from their imprisonment.
Well, practice run for a jailbreak out.
He kind of smiles. He says, "Indeed, it seems that fate may have delivered that opportunity into your hand." Kind of nods at you, Aelar. He says, "Master Aelar knows of my business." He gestures towards where you guys saw the sign out of the window where that said he was the moneylender. He says, "Officially, I am a moneylender here in town. Unofficially, it is my business to aid and abet in the smuggling of peoples and goods out of the Empire who would otherwise suffer or be put to nefarious use under their reign. The individuals in the jail beneath the keep in this town currently happen to be a pair whom I was under contract with to smuggle out of the Empire several months ago before this conflict all began. A husband and wife, pair of halflings. They were traveling with their children across the border. I don't know where the mole in my organization were to be found, but they were waylaid, caught up, separated from their children, and it is only now that I realize that the two of them are in Ignian custody and beneath this very citadel. I'll not have it and those who've contracted with me to escape the monstrosity of the Ignian Empire be subject to their cruelty any longer than necessary. He kind of grins a little bit. He says, my method of subverting the Ignian Empire's influence, particularly their views on the relative value of sentient beings' lives, have always tended towards subterfuge, subtlety, and working within the cracks of the system. I never quite had the fire that my brother did, but I am not opposed to blazing a trail of corpses between those what deserve a better life and those what would stand in the way of it. If the group of you can see that those two halflings, as well as, I suppose, any loyal guardsmen to the Midlandian kingdom, are jailbroken from the dungeons beneath the keep, I believe that I can arrange, or help arrange, a cover for you and your other compatriots and your caravan into the Ignian Empire that will allow you passage at least far enough in to get within distance of the Estelgath.
That's all we need.
A question, if I might, Mr. Thorne.
Aye.
You've referenced your brother a few times in the sense of not having his fire. What do you mean by that? I'm just curious by the turn of phrase.
He smiles a little bit. He says, a bit ironic in that between the two of us, he kind of like gestures towards the very small horns, and it says, between the two of us, I happened to have inherited the hellfire in our blood. But, he says, without any unnecessary or lengthy details, my brother and I were born in the Iolocus archipelago on the island of San Moni.
Oh, hold on. My mirror is ringing.
I hate you so much right now.
This man said so much information.
I hate you so much right now.
To these characters, but so much to other people.
He says, we spent most of our childhood slaves to the elves of the Ignian Empire. We escaped to our freedom, and while we both committed ourselves to standing against their tyranny and fighting the oppression of the slavery and the oppressed people that suffer within their borders, well, I was satisfied with establishing the guise of legitimate businessmen here and secretly partaking in enterprise to sneak people out of the Empire. He says Nathaniel's thirst for direct retribution was not to be sated by such mundane means. He has relegated himself to traversing the Isles and, in polite company, shall I say, affecting direct retribution against those who would participate in the practice of slavery.
Ah, damn. We should. I wonder if that other lot I told you about, who also favor such direct action, might have encountered him.
I'm legitimately having conniption fits over here. I hate you so much.
And I'm gonna say it because I know Brittany's thinking it. Hey, Matt. Fuck you.
As the one person who does not have a character in the other campaign, bravo, sir.
My
He
notes are
kinda-
just all caps, and I'm like trying not to cry because of the halflings.
He
Oh,
sort of
you
shakes his head
son
as
of a
I, the DM,
biscuit.
twists the knife currently, and he says, he and I don't keep in regular contact. The nature of his enterprise necessitates that he stay off the grid, but he has been, as far as I know, rather effective in his particular brand of resistance against the Empire and their cohorts.
You are a horrible person.
I know. It's fine.
Well,
My notes are just all caps. There's no sense in them.
If it wouldn't just end up being a self-punishment, I would call Murder Beat in the mirror right now. And I'd have
No, Rowan has the mirror now. Let's pretend Rowan has the mirror, right?
It's
As a
fun.
jail-
It is fun because, like, Adam has mentioned Raxus Thorn over the course of, like, 2.5 years, and
But it was
like,
the
nobody
voice.
put together.
It was the voice that you were doing.
I had actually figured coincidence, but then again, I underestimated just how much you enjoy trolling.
required
Both-
me to remember somebody's name.
Raxus.
The name was the
and
problem. It was the
Nathaniel
voice, and then you said it. Oh
yeah,
my
no.
God.
As soon as you started using that voice, I'm like, oh, you bastard.
I was sitting here. I'm like, someone has, and then Russell said it in our chat, and I was like, oh my.
At
And then you
first
said,
I was like,
I hate you.
I hate you.
I.
Either it's just a coincidence and Matt
just
only
like,
knows so
picked-
many
he said
voices.
Thorn,
And
he
then when
just
he
has
mentioned the
big
brother, I
voice.
was like, no.
And that's why I asked. I was like, no, I need an answer on this right now.
It's never a coincidence, and I know all the voices.
I hate you so much.
And of all the nights to have an uppity wine glass.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I hate. Yeah, what the hell? Calling your wife and yelling
Yeah,
at you.
that is not wine. That is the tears of the other
Oh,
party.
that's the tears of me. I'm the one who has to write the notes.
It's me. I'm the other party.
All right.
I need like 10
Mail a
minutes.
box of gum.
Rax,
Alex.
has the jail? Do you know if the jail has changed all that much? It's been a few years since I've been. Shall we say a
kind
visitor?
of he sort of shakes his head. He says, "Not to my knowledge." He kind of grins a little bit, and he says, "I imagine getting out is not going to be of particular difficulty for you, as you are intimately familiar with how to do so. The added complexity of the additional Ignian security, the questionable loyalty of Sherrod, and the removal of an uncertain number of prisoners, adding a certain complexity to the matter. I suppose it depends on how you intend to approach the situation.
Clarter would be better. Especially since the alarms have been somewhat raised as it is. We might want to give it a little bit of time to die down. And we have two people. You know that I'm great at second story work. I can do a decent disguise if I have to, but whenever I open my mouth, that's when the trouble starts.
He kind of he shrugs a little, and he says, the manner in which you infill and exfiltrate the jail will be entirely up to you. I'll not presume to tell you how to do your business. I'll merely do my part of preparing the necessary arrangements should you succeed to send you on your way towards your main objective. He kind of like taps a chin with one of his fingers, and he sort of like absentmindedly kind of like picks at one of his, like the tips of one of his horns, and he says, though perhaps, and take this or leave it, if in your preparations, execution of this jailbreak, you should somehow manage that Governor Syl Pierce, who I fairly presume is a traitor to Mithlande, should meet some unfortunate end. Perhaps I can arrange for a little extra to be thrown your way in way of payment. He says, not at all necessary. The main objective is to get them halflings out of custody so that I can be true to my word that I arranged with them originally. But a nice bonus for a treasonous piece of crap to meet his end, eh?
See if we can arrange something.
I want to call the pirates so bad. The pirates also have to call this group really bad, so it's kind of a...
Pardon me, I've got some dogs, and one of them is currently on some herbal medication that means she has to pee every, 25 minutes, and I may need to repeatedly get up and down throughout the course of our conversation to let them in and out.
Quite all
Hunters are
right,
more
Praxis.
important.
I know how you do love your hounds.
This governor,
Aye.
is he often at the jail and therefore in the line of fire?
Not as far as I know.
I look at Aelar. Do you know what he looks like? So if we see him, we know who to aim for?
Does he?
I think you would.
Okay,
he is
Aelar.
He's a late middle-aged human male. He is a little bit heavier set. Generally, like, you kind of know him to be like a sort of like slovenly, kind of, lackadaisical in his general duties. Being the border town that it is, like the captain of the guard in this town, Sherrod Noko, who you like are of indeterminate like understanding of his current loyalties, as he's like still running the jails and stuff like that, but under some sort of a weird collaboration with the Ignians. Sherrod was really the one who kind of like ran the show here, as this town was heavily focused on defending the border between it and Vale, essentially the Empire's territory. Governor Pierce was, largely happy to just like, live in his governor's mansion and like not really do much. The fact that he is like now kind of like living large in the wake of these Ignians taking over, like, is what has led Raxus to believe like that he had something to do with it. But like from what you know of him, Aelar, he generally just like hangs out in the governor's mansion and is like a rich douche.
Okay. Aelar will cast a minor illusion and create a simulacrum of the governor. That's him. And then he'll let it sit for a few seconds, and then I'll cast one. That's Sherrod.
Sherrod Noko is also a human, probably late 40s. He has very like close cropped, dark, like dark brown, almost black hair. A very like no nonsense look about him. Raxus points out, Sherrod has taken to wearing his hair a touch longer than that since you've last been around, but you have about got the measure of the man.
Goody. People
Pierce,
to shoot.
yeah, Pierce might not have any official power, but at the moment. But I wonder if we might be able to pull some writ or something that gets a small party, especially one of a high elf, her half-elven, her half-elven servant, and her half-orcish bodyguard, manservant, something like that.
I was wondering if we could maybe pull something off like that. I could list any number of rich families within the Empire and just throw a fit and demand an audience with the governor. It's not that hard to pretend to be like them.
No, it's not. I will leave, as I said, the talking to you and to Brahm. Unfortunately, my gift for disguise is to try and look like I blend in and hope no one notices. Or just not to be seen. I think it's going to be very difficult to pull something off with the Stone Goliath, so Osrius probably should stay here and somewhat out of sight. At least up until
Things
might
get
need a-
interesting.
yeah, we might need a little backup.
How far is the governor's home from the jail, or his office from the jail?
Honestly, like Aelar is able to kind of tell you that the governor's manor is, as the crow flies, only like a 5-minute walk, but it sits at like the kind of back. The town sits on like a slight rise before it then like slopes into the gully that separates it and Vale. The keep is at like the peak of that rise. The governor's manor is kind of like part of the way down and like off to the northwest ish of that. So as the crow flies, it's like a 5-ish minute walk. Down on the streets, it's a little bit more complicated to navigate. But like close enough, respectively.
Oh, I just had an idea. I just had a fantastic idea. Those two halflings, Rax. You said they were enslaved? They were previously slaves, or they were recently captured?
He says they were living within the Empire in one of the as you know, in one of the worse outlying towns for those not of the elven persuasion. The small lord in charge of the town that they lived in were particularly making it difficult for their kind. Not slaves, but might as well have been the way they were treated. They found their way to my network and arranged transport for themselves and their 2 children out of the Empire.
Okay. Light complication, but I doubt Pierce would know the details.
He says if Syl Pierce has any fucking idea about who or who is not in the jails and what they're in there for under the guard of the Ignians, I'll eat my goddamn hat.
But might be worth a Ignian noblewoman demanding the return of her property going to the first place, and that a Ignian noblewoman would think to go, the richest person in the town and governor's house. That will get us an inn there. Then
To demand an escort to the jail to see if my property is there. Kill them all.
yeah, that's more or less it. Possibly deal with him in the manor quietly, lethally, but
If we deal with him in the manor, though, maybe we can't get as deep into the jails as we need to get to who we need to get to.
Pierce likely doesn't have any official power at this point. I mean, Sherrod barely listened to him as it was because Sherrod more or less ran things here before the takeover. But that would be a bit more convenient having him there, and then in all the hustle and the bustle. Well, terrible shame that he died in a prison break.
Could work.
Thorn says, if I may, a request, a favor, if you will. He says, Sherrod Noka and I, by all surface indicators, have always got on well enough, as my sort of cover as the money lender of the town has not dictated any hostility between us. But I know the man a fair bit. While his particularly staunch dedication to law and order of the land have not necessarily jived with my looser interpretation as it relates to bending the I suppose you would call it foreign relations between Mithlinde and the Empire. In all the time I've known him, I have not known him to be a black-hearted man. He says, I understand that while my calling be, I consider it noble in my heart, it is afoul of the law, and Sherrod Noka is nothing but a man of the law. I find it hard to believe that he has taken side with the Ignian Empire, despite current appearances.
No, that's not my read on the man either. I don't know him anywhere near as well as you, but
he kind of shakes his head. He says, if I be wrong, I'll not lose any sleep over his demise, if that be necessary, but
If he's not dirty, don't kill him unnecessarily, is what you're saying.
He says, Piers be a bastard, and regardless of his involvement or not, he does not deserve to continue to hold his position. But as a favor, I'd ask that you at least try to find out the truth of Noka's loyalties, his positions, and unless it necessary, I'd not see harm to come to a man that, while perhaps on different sides of the moral compass, I've not read as a bad man or a black-hearted man.
that's something I can definitely arrange, Rax.
He kind of nods. Says, as for the Ignians, fuck 'em, every last one.
Even Zintrus drinks to that at that point.
All right. If I could request one of your many ink pens and some ink and some paper. I think we've got some plans to draw up.
He kind of gestures to the desk. He says, "Make use of my my business and my home as you will. I'll be available to you for anything that I can help with, if need be. But unless requested, I will stay out of your way. As with," kind of smiles, he says, "as with all of our endeavors, Mr. Aelar. The less I know about the logistics, the better."
Indeed.
And with that, he'll kind of like retire to a side room where he does, he seems to be like just going about other business to kind of like give you guys the space to talk and plan and everything else. But be like close enough on hand if you need him for something or you want to call him back or whatever. Like he's on hand. He will kind of like clear out of your way otherwise.
All right. I apologize to you all for kind of taking the lead on this, but
No, this is your territory, dude.
it's been a little while since I've been here, but at least some things appear not to have changed. Governor's a slovenly piece of crap, but apparently he's now a traitor. That was a little bit of news. I figured that I figured if push came to shove, he'd run if things got hot, not let the enemy in. But hell, members of parliament for the government of Mithlinde's capital turned traitor. So what should I have expected? All right. What do you think, Brom? You're better in a con like this. Like I said, I'm more of a second story, not get seen or pose as a background worker. Get in, get what I'm doing, get out. Think the idea has merit?
Yeah, probably. I think the approach of trying to pull some sort of shenanigans is not probably going to work here. So
Well,
that would exclude most of my my ideas.
Do you think it won't work because they're on high alert right now, or just because you're not feeling lucky right now?
No, it's definitely the highlight. Well, maybe if we can ascertain the general intelligence level of most of these people, maybe. But something tells me they're not going to be a bunch of idiots.
no, I don't think showing up as Nigel Dewsbury will work in this case. But you playing a more, and I'm sorry for this, stereotypical half-orc servant role. Are you okay with this?
Can't you also disguise yourself, Brom?
Risky with it. The elves might be there.
True.
Unless you're using a more conventional disguise.
Yeah, if I would use less magic and more old school stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna step in as Walter for a second here, as Jason has just texted me something to give you guys to pass to you guys. He holds up his shovel and he goes, "I don't know how this fits into any other plans, but
It's a shovel, Walter.
he says it's a magic shovel. He says, with this, I have a spell that I can cast with this. He says I can open up a passage in wood, plaster, stone. I don't know what the cells of the dungeons are, but I can open up a 5 foot wide, 8 foot tall, 20 foot deep passage in something. Whether that can be used for getting in or out of a jail or a cell or whatever, I
think
know,
that's our Yeah, that's our exfiltration.
How many
just
times
so
can
you know
do
it's
that?
here.
How many times can you do that?
Yeah, how many times
Once?
can you do that?
He says, I don't know, because the only information I have right now is that I know that I can do that, because I told myself that via a strange, magical, communication device.
All
You're
right.
a weird guy, Walter.
All right. So yeah, you and
Jason
us.
gave me the information that he does have the ability. He has the ability to banish and pass wall with his shovel.
Okay.
I don't know specifics on that, but just to give you guys that information, you have that. That is a thing you have at your disposal for.
Okay, I
So
think that's our
definitely
exfiltration.
useful.
Yeah, that's
But
our
we
exfiltration.
also need to figure out how to smuggle in a shovel. A full shovel.
We don't. I dare say he doesn't need to be even in the building.
What's next to the prison?
So it's at the bottom of the keep. So we need to be able to get him into the keep because there is a wall, right?
Yeah.
Or a gate?
So the keep is kind of at the highest point in the town here. It is surrounded by its own its own surrounding wall with battlements and some parapets and a few towers and things like that. You know, like this for the size of this town, it is like much more like defensively built up than another town of its size might be because of its particular like vicinity to the Ignian border. So like the keep is a fortified if you kind of think like colonial sort of Civil War, it's not a big grandiose castle. It is essentially like a heavy duty stone bunker type of building with some like barracks and rooms above it, and then surrounding it are like a few ancillary buildings intended to like support the defense of the town if it comes under siege. But other than that, like it is contained within its own little walled complex in the sort of like center / highest topography of the town.
I had to figure out how to get Walter in, but he could join the retinue easily enough. And that's our exfiltration. That gets us out of the jail, up to the surface, and then we can run like hell.
You had to shrink the shovel and wear it as a pair of earrings. Is that possible?
Does anybody have shrink object?
I don't think so. So what we'll do here at this point is you guys kind of like begin to discuss your plan. You kind of like talk things over. The evening wears on. What I'm going to say at this point is we will your characters will take a long rest. We will go over like the course of this night into the morning, where you guys can like kind of plan, kind of take part in dog butts, which can come and visit you. Do kind of what you need to do to prepare for the next day, and then we will like rejoin with you guys having taken a long rest. And you can kind of talk amongst yourselves of like plans you want to make, or we can save that from when we come back. But we'll take a quick 10-minute break on stream here, so that I can go see to dog stuff / wife stuff / non-D&D stuff real quick, and then we'll reconvene in about 10 minutes. So for those of you watching us at home, thank you for joining us. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, and maybe pitch your ideas for this heist scenario in chat while we're gone, and see if that helps any of these ding-dongs with their plan. We will be back shortly, and that's it. Bye! Be right back. Everybody, jazz hands. Hey, we're back from our break. I did a bunch of veterinary assisting stuff that I did not understand, but just picked up and put down the things I was told to. In the meantime, the party, the Fool's Errant, had a long rest and spent an undisclosed amount of time discussing their sort of plans for their next moves here. So we will rejoin you guys. I think actually from like from a viewer standpoint, from a narrative standpoint, I don't think you guys actually need to feel the necessity to like recap every element of your plan that you've discussed. Kind of while we were on break, I heard it, so I kind of know how to proceed. What we will say, I think, is we will rejoin in the morning, probably late morning, as it was like evening when you got here. Then you had to discuss all your stuff and then still get your long rest. So it's late morning when we reconvene here, and you guys kind of reassemble in the main area of Raxus Thorn's kind of like front business, the money lending business. And he kind of looks around at you and he says, I presume you've got some sort of a plan cooked up, eh?
We do.
How can I be of assistance?
We need a forged writ of ownership for those two halflings for, oh, hell, I don't know which noble house you've forged a writ for recently, but pick one that you haven't used in a while and that's somewhat nearby.
Nods, he says, easily enough done if you give me a few hours. By mid-afternoon, I should be able to complete that. I take it you're planning to go the route of impersonating your way in to the jails, free of an arrest, as it were.
It's a little bit easier to get out of a jail if you aren't completely in it.
Says, no doubt about that. Have you considered the fact that no doubt all of your likenesses have been described to the Ignians in the town at this point? As you did rather spectacularly make an entrance.
Yeah, I have considered that as well. I'm hoping that Brahman's interests' skills with disguise can change our looks just enough. I don't want to risk magical uses because, well, elves and freaking charm spells.
Kind of nods. It'd be a risk, but I suppose no more of a risk than going the route of getting yourselves arrested to then break out.
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
Worst comes to worst, if that's
we get put in the jail.
That happens. Yeah. I've got enough picklocks concealed on my person that I need to slip out. I can slip out and get the rest out.
Aye, very well. So, you'll be needing a full writ of ownership for the para-halflings.
Oh, by the way, what's their names?
He says, married couple, male and female, Odrion and Wavina.
Okay.
Is there anything about them, as far as you know, that they might be skilled at in any way that we could pretend that is what they did for the house? Or is it just the run-of-the-mill cook and servant? And
it is. My understanding was that they were house servants, basic sort of cleaning, cooking,
okay,
that sort of thing.
All right, given the climate, Steward or Noble House showing up right here at the no, technically it's Ignian territory, so it shouldn't be out of place? Somewhat, but not too out of place.
He says, I would prepare yourselves if you run into a particularly astute set of resistance that you should be ready for the fact that there have not been any arrivals into the town from the Ignian side of the border, and a group of people loosely fitting your numbers and description spectacularly made an entrance from the Midlindian side. He kind of he shrugs. He says, "You know as well as I that if you are steadfast and confident enough with your fast talk, you can get away with a lot of vastly illogical things. But I'd be on your toes. As the ploy you've made has its fair share of easily pokeable holes if you've run into the wrong sort."
Very true. Well, if we run into Sherrod, then things might get a little bit dicey. But there'll definitely be a way to find out where he lies on things there.
Master Thorn, since you don't seem so convinced of our plan, what would you suggest?
He kind of
Full break in, break out.
He kind of shrugs.
Muscle?
He says, I don't think your route is any less sound than any other. Any particular way you go about this is going to be hazardous at best. If it weren't, I wouldn't have needed to enlist the help of the lot of you to begin with. I'd simply have sent you on your way with whatever aid I could muster, but kind of shrugs. He says, were it to be me, I'd probably have arranged for the group of you, or some of you, to manage to land yourselves in the jail with the others, and kind of wing an escape from there.
I mean, if this goes wrong, it could still happen.
He says it certainly might. He says the risk of that, of course, being that if you reveal yourself, or if this goes wrong, or any other number of things, the Ignians may simply elect to execute the lot of you without even considering throwing you in jail. He says they're honestly, I hate to say it, I don't wish to disappoint you, but there honestly be no right answer to this. Every path you might choose is equally fraught with risk versus reward as any other. I mean not to dissuade you from your course of action. I think it's as likely to succeed as any other.
I don't think I don't want to risk throwing ourselves on the mercy of the Ignians, not after we've killed some of their guards. I think they're a little less likely to throw us in the jail rather than a summary execution.
Kind of nods. The savvy con man merely considers all possible outcomes for any situation. It's only in considering every potential outcome and planning for it that you can stay one step ahead of the opposition. I don't point out the potential pitfalls and holes in your plans to dissuade you from it, merely to allow you time to think and prepare on those eventualities, so that should they arise, you're not caught on your heels.
Well, Brahm,
Fair
you've run cons like this. Any holes we're not noticing?
I don't know. It's difficult. I mean, whatever we do, like, subtlety is definitely our best option. What we should have done was not make such an entrance, but
that couldn't have been helped, unfortunately.
Considering they were going to arrest us and we didn't know there was halflings that needed saving yet, we were resisting the jail when maybe it would have been easier to be thrown in and somehow then contacted by Master Thorn here and told, hey, while you're down there, but
If
They
we
levy.
do go some of us get arrested route, we should definitely go the ones most likely to be able to talk themselves out of being beheaded.
I'm not a fast talker. Like I said,
And who among us would that be, bro?
I look at Sintress like I think we both know. It's clearly Oz and Walter. No.
I think we stick to this plan and run it for as long as we possibly can. And when it falls apart, plan B. All right, so
If subtlety's our best option, maybe I shouldn't be throwing a fit, and maybe just providing documentation and asking to see what's in their jails calmly, and maybe I should change my clothes a bit. I do have my finery packed away.
yeah,
At least I won't look exactly like myself if we're concerned about magic revealing ourselves. So I'll be back, and Zintress will go upstairs to just a separate room, and she keeps as much of her armor on as she can and puts the finery on, her fine clothes on over it, and a traveling cloak over it to kind of help conceal the bulky. When she comes back down, her hair is all pinned up and different, hiding all the feathers and all the stuff to try to just adjust just enough.
Okay.
How she looks.
My Aelar turning to Brahm. Do you have anything that looks like servant's clothes that might fit me? And something that might change the old hair color. Yeah. A blonde half-elf versus, say, brown hair half-elf might be enough of a difference.
Hi, I've got some things on hand that could do in a pinch.
That'll do.
Yeah, for clothing, I'm not gonna have anything in your size, but I can do the rest.
All right. Well,
most of the clothes I have are, this.
Yeah, you are definitely built a bit more broad than I am.
Roughly the size and dimensions of a refrigerator.
A what?
I don't know. It's a word I heard once. A magical box enchanted with a chill touch spell that keeps all your foods and meats cold.
Back in the day, they used to call me old Brahm barn door Replock because I'm roughly the size of a barn door.
Alright, then Aelar will impose upon Raxus again for a bit of a change of clothes, so he's not wearing that which he was last seen in. And a change of hair color, so it's not immediately obvious. A little bit of styling to change how it looks too.
Okay. Yeah, he's able to provide you with all that stuff. He takes a few hours. It's probably a little bit after midday when he kind of comes back to you and kind of still waving to dry the finality of the ink on his faux writ of ownership that he has created for you. Which names? Did you give him a fake name to give Zintress?
No, I think you asked him for a name in the area that wouldn't be ridiculous that they are here, but
he can give you a surname. Do you have I
was just gonna be a steward of House of Blank.
Okay. Okay, so then you are the steward of the House of I think Bayleaf. Aelar, you had said we were on break.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll call them Bayleaf. Steward of the House Bayleaf. Evolves from Chikorita. Steward of the House Bayleaf. So he provides you with a writ of ownership for the noble house of Bayleaf for the possession of 2 actually the possession of he writes the possession of 4 halflings, and it is titled like Odrion and Wyvirna Stouthalt, and then it's like and 2 offspring, ownership of noble house of Bayleaf of Ignian Empire, recognized by His Eminence Emperor Errant Telthanol,
Yep.
what it was.
Where's House
Very official
Bayleaf
looking.
from?
We'll say opposite of Talmark from the town where they lived. So if that town was south of Talmark,
So what he
Bayleaf,
can actually
their
do
properties.
here is, like, remember, these 2 individuals were, like, he was, they had employed him to smuggle them out. Like, he knows where they're from. So, like, we can actually say, like, the House Bayleaf is, like, legitimately the house that owned these individuals, and like where they so like his documentation is actually, like, besides the fact that, like, you are bullshit,
I'm not. Yeah.
Everything else about his
all
documentation is legitimate because he has all that information
He knows
because he was smuggling them out of the Empire to begin with.
In that case,
Exactly.
as much of the truth as
But
possible.
for my brain, where are they from? Like what town?
Give me a second and look. Let me look up let me get my map pulled up here. Whoop. They are from they're actually from the city of Telvanal. Which you guys kind of know is like east by northeast-ish from where you guys are. It's like the closest major city to the border. Actually, if I can move my map behind my head here on stream for you guys. You will see. There's the map of Orhol. So directly here, right? Here is where you guys are. Figure it right. That's Talmark. That's Vale. That's where you guys are currently. You can't really see it, but directly above my head, that white dot, if I were to, like, drag this down a little bit, which I am not quite able to. There you go. Telvanal is there. Like, east and a little bit north of where you guys currently are, and then, like, the capital being over here, Shivasimaria. So
Gotcha.
That's where you guys are. That's Vale, directly across the border. That is where these halflings are originally from. The Estelgath, for your guys' information, is like that way more.
Okie dokie.
So he provides you with this with the appropriate documentation for what you guys need to do.
Everyone ready to go to jail?
I thought step 1 was
Governor's house, then jail.
Yep.
Because if we can get the governor there in the crossfire, all the better.
Mhm.
If not, then he just sends us to jail and we end up there anyway. So.
Thorn goes through and he kind of like shakes each of your hands and he says, "I appreciate this, and I will start working on my end of the bargain. wish you luck. And he kind of nods to you. He says, Aelar, you know the drill. If it all goes south,
I
don't
have
know
no
each other."
idea who Raxus Thorn is.
He nods. He kind of like nods you guys. He says, out the back door. He says, go down a few blocks before you exit out onto the main streets, and by the gods, be careful. They'll no doubt be looking for people matching your description after the display yesterday. He says, if I might suggest leaving a couple, at least, of your group here. He says, not to be stereotypical, but he like points at Osrius and he goes like, that makes an impression on people.
Oh no, no offense, Oz. I was gonna suggest you stay here. Walter, I think you as well. That way, if things do go south, we can send you a message. You've got means to get to us.
So here's how I think the two of these play out. I'm gonna take some liberties with both of these characters. Osrius kind of goes like, that's fine. I don't... all of this sneaking around, I don't understand it. If it were up to me, I would just go to the stone house where they keep the prisoners and kill everybody that stands in our way. Until it's time to do that, I'm happy to just stay here. And Walter will kind of recommend, he says like, he kind of says, we have the bags of holding. I can stay here with Oz, and we can... He says we can set up a system. He says, I'll check every 30 minutes. You can put something specific in the bag of holding if you are ready to bring us to the other side. I'll check every 30 minutes, and if that thing is in the bag of holding, I'll know it's time to send one of us through.
Okay.
He kind of says, he goes like, here, and he takes his shovel from his back, and he like slides it Mary Poppins style into the bag, which like should not contain its length. He says, keep that. Once you get wherever you're going, keep that. I've thought about it a second time. That was stupid.
I have an idea.
Shovel, and he takes it back out. He goes, keep something on yourself, something specific that I can look for in the bag to know that you need us as backup.
Can you find my ring in that bag, Walter?
He goes, I don't know, find out.
I mean, it's something fast enough that I could drop in there, and it's just a dragon wing.
He goes like,
ring.
drop it in.
I drop it in.
And then he reaches his hand in and he goes, Zintrus's ring. And he pulls his hand out and he's holding it. And he goes, easy enough. He hands it back to you. He goes, I'll check every 30 minutes for your ring. If I find it in the bag, I'll put Osrius in. I'll give it 8 minutes, and then I'll try and pull Osrius back out. If he comes back, just in case if something happens between you pull it in and when I check, I don't want him to suffocate in there. If I can't get Osrius back out, I'll assume you guys have him, and then I'll get in the bag. You can pull us both out wherever you are, assuming it's still on you, and we can go from there. Until then, we'll stay here and wait as backup.
I could also, worst case scenario, if we drop the ring in and then things go bad, I can sending you and let you know things have gone.
Kind of nods. He says, yeah.
Hopefully before they get anything on me that keeps me from doing that.
He says, as long as we just have to be careful that if we're going to start putting people in the bag, we don't want to get ourselves into a situation where somebody's going to get stuck inside the bag for more than 10 minutes because they'll suffocate and die.
Yep.
He's like, as long as we plan for that, we should be okay.
Sounds good.
Kind Walter nods at you. He's like, all right, well, good luck. We're gonna, I don't know, play charades, maybe?
However you want to pass the time, Walter.
he like goes over to the window and like dismisses his illusory to like let his horrible face appear in the window of Thorn's building. Somebody on the street goes like, ah! And Thorn's like, go.
Walter!
Why? Why would you do this? He goes, I don't know. It seemed like something that the guy who usually controls me would do. You were able to like leave Osrius and Walter in the in Thorn's like hideout, essentially like at the ready, where in a 30-minute window, so long as like nothing happens where like you lose possession of your bag, you can call the two of them forth to wherever you are when you need to going forward.
Awesome. All right. Then.
Sidebar on that. I realize Zintrus isn't carrying one of the bags. I'm gonna pass my ring to Aelar really quick.
Okay.
Just because I don't carry it. I am not part of the crew that owns the bag, so I'm not responsible.
Also, the steward probably wouldn't carry something as mundane as a sack.
Yeah,
but one of the
appearances.
servants definitely would.
Okay.
And you'll have the paperwork and yada yada yada.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then Aelar will lead folks through a few side streets, few back alleys, and then, all right, here we are.
All right, so you walk out onto the street. Have you guys disguised yourself in any way at this point, or you just kind of... Aelar, you changed clothes and dyed your hair mundanely.
Yes.
So go ahead. Now you can make me a disguise kid roll.
I am...
Do so with advantage.
I was gonna say, I think Brahm was doing it for him.
Between Brahm and Raxus, like, they are able to kind of make you up, so you can roll with advantage.
Okay. And a 11 and a 17.
Okay. So,
I have no
17.
charisma bonus, and I have no training with a disguise kit. So, but Brahm does, so it would be his proficiency bonus.
Brahm 17 is fine. We'll use the 17. Brahm
Okay.
and Raxus make you up. Brahm and Zintrus, are you guys altering your appearance in any way?
Afraid that like they would see through any magic that I did, because maybe not the governor, but like the elves when we eventually get to the prison, or if this takes a long time having to redo the spell, not wanting to waste spells on that. I've just taken all the feathers and things out of my hair, redone it to look fancy, and put on my fine clothes over stuff so that it's my noble's clothes instead of my traveling clothes. And I'm just more straight backed and more like nose in the air, haughty elf, ears pointed out, as far like I've made everything very exaggerated, and I'm walking like I've seen all of the elves, like the richer elves, do my whole life.
Sure.
So I'm
and
just
Brahm, what about you?
haughty.
Brahm has put on like a much plainer set of clothes, like just standard like boots, shirt and vest, and sort of a more wide brim like hat, and has like with like crepe hair and stuff, like, you know, added instead of mutton chops, he's now like added that he's got like a longer beard with like sort of like a big mustache. So just basically like giving himself a decently big beard as opposed to just his standard mutton chops. And also probably like has done some things to like mess with his complexion a little bit, and maybe like contoured himself so that he looks vaguely like a kind of different orc.
Okay. All right, no problem. So your plan is you kind of move through the streets and you're heading for the governor's mansion.
Oh, and has also, I assume they exist, put like green contacts in, because Brahm's like red eyes are very distinctive.
Sure. Alrighty. Okay, so you guys kind of make your way through the town. You guys kind of follow Aelar's lead as he knows where to guide you, as he's very familiar with Telmark. You make your way through some winding streets. You pass through a town square, which is active, has a few like stalls and cellars, but you very much get the sense there is a deep sense of like the grasping of normalcy of the people that live here. The stall and shop owners are like open for business and selling their wares because that is what is normal, and they are pointedly ignoring the abnormalcy of the Ignian guardsmen and patrols that are in control of this city. So there's this kind of electric tension running under everything as you guys pass through the city. Make a let's call this a performance check from you guys.
14.
How many check was it? Missed that part.
Performance.
22.
24. And also, Brahm is also gonna he'll put on like a pair of like big round spectacles.
Okay.
And sort of like alter his posture in like a much more like slumped working man, sort of like Clark Kenting it.
Okay.
Way in like a, just trying to make himself look like a completely different.
Okay, so you kind of like make your way through the town. You make your way to the gates of the governor's mansion. There are 2 Ignian soldiers, like standing out front. And as you guys approach, one of them kind of looks at you and in Elvish, he's like, "Qu'est-ce que tu veux? What do you want?"
Wait, sorry, we're at the governor's house now, you said?
You're outside the governor's
Okay.
house where there are 2 Ignians, like, barring the...
Just soldiers.
Seems to be, yeah.
And he said it in that tone at me?
In Elvish, he goes like, "Who are you? What do you want?"
I'm the steward of House Bayleaf. This is all in Elvish.
Sure.
And I'm here to speak to the governor because I have some business in this town, and you are going to take me to him. And I smile at them.
Kind of look at each other. Make a deception check.
They're gonna do whatever I want. That's a 27.
Holy crap! So they kind of like look at each other, and they kind of mutter, and you kind of catch some snippets of what they say. Like, "This is your harsh belief, I did not hear that an envoy had arrived from the Empire. What's belief? What is this sniveling pig governor? Something to do with belief? I have no desire to risk the..."
When I hear sniveling pig, I laugh. And I go, in Elvish, "Pig indeed, but technically this is his town, for now."
They were like, pardon, we don't mean, of course,
No,
come, please,
no,
please, this
it's
way,
fine.
this way.
It's fine, gentlemen. Thank you. I can't imagine the troubles you've had in this town, and I kind of like straighten my back again. And I just smile at them as if it's lovely to see more elves.
One of them says like, I will man the gate, Henri, please take the distinguished representative from his belief to meet with the governor. Hopefully, he kind of like looks at. He looks at a sundial nearby. I don't know. He checks the sun. He goes like, "It is mid-afternoon. Perhaps she will catch him between his 3rd and 5th meals of the day." He kind of nods and like retakes his position as guard, and the one Henri that you were described to like gestures says, "Please, I will take you out to the main estate, and we'll find the governor of the town."
Thank you, gentlemen.
Henri kind of like leads you guys stoically forward. You Zintris, you kind of notice him like looking at Brahm and looking at Aelar. He seems curious, but like not nearly enough to dare like breach decorum and like ask any questions. As he just like leads you guys to the main building, which he just like no knocking, no nothing. He just opens the door and like leads you guys into this lavish manor home. As you enter in, a human man who is in the garb of like a house servant, kind of he kind of says, what is it that you desire? I did not hear a knock or any. And the guard kind of like cuts him off and says, quiet, servant. Where is the master of the house? The Ignian Empire has business with your governor. He is in the study, of course. And he kind of gestures to a room and says, very well. Announce the arrival of an emissary of the impeccable house bailiff of the Ignian Empire. Tell him that he will receive his guests eminently and that he should make himself presentable. And the kind of like steward, yes, of course. And he scurries out of the room. The Ignian kind of looks at you, Zintris, and he bows very deeply and respectfully, and he says, Your Grace, I will depart from you here, but rest assured that myself and my partner are at the gates, and there are other. Kind of looks around at like some of the house staff and things, like kind of screaming as proper servants of the Empire. At your beck and call, should you need them.
Thank you, Henri. I look forward to seeing you again shortly. Hopefully my business with this governor doesn't take very long. And I wink at him.
Kind of like chuckles behind his hand at the sort of like implied insult, and he backs out of the room. After a few moments, the steward that you guys had seen kind of like darts out of the room and like goes into another side room, and right behind him, an individual comes out who you take to be, or actually, Aelar, you recognize as Governor Sil Pierce. He's wearing his finery. He has both his physical description and his like the descriptor of his like demeanor can be summed up in a single term, and that term is sweaty. He comes out like kind of wringing his hands, and he says, "Oh, I was not informed that an emissary from within the Empire had come to visit. Tell me, and pardon my rudeness, but I am not acquainted with. I know you are of House Bailiff, as it was told to me, but I do not know your name or your purpose here. I am Governor Pierce of Talmark, formerly of Mithelinde's control, but is obedient servant to the glory of the Ignian Empire. How may I be of service to you?
Can I just insight check him real quick to see how sincere he is in his like service and blah blah and falling over himself for the Ignians?
Sure.
19.
He is shaking in his boots.
Okay.
He is.
That helps.
Okay. You definitely get the sense that like this dude is just like whoever seems to be like currently on the winning side. This dude is on their side and has no loyalty besides his own self-interest, and is currently like extremely eager to like ingratiate himself to anybody that he perceives as like important within the Empire. So, like, he has no idea who the fuck you are, or any of that stuff, but, like, as far as he knows, like, you are sort of somebody from, like, an important-ish house, so he is, like...
Oh boy. Yeah.
Off to the races with his, like, bootlicking.
Governor Pierce, was it?
Yes, my good lady.
I am Valra Andral, representing House Bayleaf. And
of course.
I've been sent here to get back some property that may have found its way into your town. And a bit of bad business, but... And I look at Aelar and I snap my fingers at him obnoxiously and I hold my hands out for the papers.
Aelar's just been kind of looking at him with a vague sort of contempt, which Aelar has nothing but contempt for this guy to begin with. He snaps to and reaches in to a couple of pockets and, you know, lets Zintris get a little more annoyed before he finally... Sorry, milady, he says in Elvish.
I nod and, like, snap them out of his hands and pass it to him so he could look at them, and I say, as you can see here, we have all the documentation in order. There are halflings that may have landed in your possession. Perhaps in the jails, or perhaps in someone's home if they've been picked up and claimed through whatever purposes that they so deserve. However, they belong to House Bayleaf, and I'm here to get them back.
He holds up this piece of parchment. You see him kind of looking at it, and he's, like, listening to you, and he says...
And in my head, I message Brahm, and to Brahm, I just say to him, keep an eye out for anyone who's getting a better read on us. Because since Brahm's not talking and involved, I want Brahm to be, like, on our backs.
Okay. He kind of, like, looks... You see him, he holds up this parchment, he's, like, staring at it for like, the entirety of the time that you're, like, continuing to talk to him. He's, like, looking at the parchment. As you kind of conclude, he kind of looks at you and says, yes, of course, we should speak with, we should speak with Sherrod. Yes, he certainly he's more up to speed on the sort of the ins and outs of the comings and goings and sort of all of this tosh that those with other matters that they must attend to on a day-to-day basis cannot simply be up to date with. Yes,
I understand.
Yes. Make an insight check if you would. Any of the three of you can, as you're, like, watching him.
Still not bad.
14.
Natural 20.
Ooh,
17.
Okay. With a 17, like,
You
get the sense that this guy's, like, does not have his, like, fingers on the pulse of fucking anything that's going on in this town, and is, like, trying to cover that up.
Yeah.
Brom, with that nat 20, like, you watch him, like, look at that writ that, like, Thorn painstakingly, like, created and wrote in Elvish, because it is an Ignian writ, and you, like, look at the way his eyes, like, kind of glaze over the paper. It occurs to you that, like, you don't even think this dude can read Elvish, so, like, Zintris handed him a piece of paper that is, like, utterly, it could have said fucking anything, and, like, he does not know, and he's just, like, covering his ass so hard right now that, like, he's just, like, trying to pawn you off to, like, another guy, and he has fucking no idea what's going on.
Brom will speak up and he'll say, excuse me, but am I to believe that you didn't know of Our Lady's coming? You were not pre-warned? It seems highly offensive.
He says, no doubt. The guards at the various gates are supposed to inform me of the comings and goings of anyone into the town. He says there was a spot of trouble at the west gate yesterday evening. Perhaps in all of the hubbub, they merely neglected to inform me.
I don't care if there was a fucking dragon at the other gate. Somebody important walks into your town, you should know about it.
He says, make an intimidation check.
Oh boy.
I'm just smiling like I'm enjoying this immensely. That my servant is putting this man in his place.
The 29?
Yes, Christ!
I rolled really high and I have a plus 12.
He goes,
so...
you are. He seems a little flustered as to like. There's like
what's
a
going
half
on?
Orc like bitch slapping him, but he's he's like
as he like bumbles, and I'm actually both in character and as interest really enjoying this, but I want to play this off well. I'll just hold up my hand to him to like as like a calming gesture and say, "Forgive the protectiveness of my men here. They are quite loyal."
he says, no, not at all, my lady.
I understand that you are a very, very busy man, but the reason I came to you is I wanted to speak to the man in power. I could have easily just gone to the jails, but I figured they might turn me away because they don't know who I am. But you, being a man of wisdom and power in this town, would surely recognize someone important and help me get what I need. If you wouldn't mind escorting us to the jails to check for my property,
Of course, yes, I shall do more than that. He says, I shall escort you myself to the jails and speak to Sherrod there. He says, I shall also. He says, he kind of like snaps his fingers a bunch, and that like that older servant comes back and he says, Boris, he says, send word to those Ignian brutes that pass along to the eastern gate. He says they've been negligent in their duty. This fine emissary came through and word was not appropriately passed. Pass on to their commander. Let him know that his men have been lackadaisical, that they have not passed news of this important emissary coming from the east. Kind of turns. Yes. Yes.
Instead of sending word to tell them to do better, I think you should just fire the lot of them.
He kind of he sort of smiles nervously. He says, yes, yeah.
Again, we have a no nonsense policy.
To fire.
We understand.
Soldiers of the Ignian Empire. You get the sense that like he does not have the power to do that, but he's trying to cover it.
At the very least, you should maybe have them reassigned somewhere where their lack of foresight might not be such a hindrance.
Latrine digging, perhaps.
He says, for that, he says, I assure you, I will see it done. I will have a word with the commanding officer of the Ignian contingent that have been blessed, that I've been blessed with here to see the protection of Talmark. I shall certainly do that. Yes, you have my most profound assurances.
I'm gonna lean in real close to him and go, good, because if I find out you don't, I'm gonna find you, and I'm gonna put your arms where your legs is, and your legs where your arms is.
Make a.
Aelar just starts chuckling.
I sigh like I'm bored because I'm so used to this that it happens all the time.
What's your intimidation roll?
Oh, I heard make a, and then you didn't.
Intimidation roll, yeah, sorry.
Oh man, it's not quite as high as the last time, but it's still at 21.
He goes, ah! Of course, let us go to the jails.
If he... Does he do the gentlemanly thing and offer his arm to escort me, or does he not?
No, he's
too afraid.
You get the sense that, like, his dealings with the Ignians thus far have educated him to the he at least presumes enough that it would be insulting for him to offer to touch you. So he's
exactly. So that's why I
he's-
wanted to know, because it would tell me where he sees himself in this again.
Yeah,
It's just a constant
he
check.
is you very much get the sense that he was kind of smugly felt like he was the top of the chain and has
And then
you
I
guys
should
have very quickly knocked him down a number of tiers, and he is very nervous about his situation. He kind of brushes past, he kind of walks past you guys graciously, come, yes, please. He says, Boris, fetch the carriage. We shall ride over to the keep, and meet with Sherrod and his new counterpart, as it were, and discuss the release of the property of House Bayleaf immediately. Yes, and the old servants. Yes, of course, sir. I shall fetch the carriage immediately. And he leads you guys outside. A carriage is in short order brought around for you guys to climb into. And you take the 2-minute carriage ride 3 blocks over to where the keep is, and you are led into the kind of the main part of the keep. He kind of breezes past, chin in the air. He's definitely put back on the airs of being the head honcho, the big cheese, as he walks past the other guards. Everybody can make an insight check as you guys do this.
Insight, you said?
Yes.
That's only an 8.
Not as good. 13.
15.
With a 15. There's interest. There is a mix of Ignian and what you presume to be ex-Mythlindian guards kind of on duty in the keep here. The Ignians seem to be, very business-like, all that stuff. Some of the guards, you just get you get an off vibe from them. The Mythlindians, as if kind of similar to the governor of you get the sense that they're on the take. There are a couple of guys that you clock that look at you guys in a way that something about them strikes you as they're not, I don't know what their deal is, but I don't get the sense that they are with the program of what's happening here.
Do I get the sense not being with the program is against us or against?
It's not necessarily against or with you,
Just
but it
separate.
is not necessarily with the Ignians.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just
You
gonna
are
keep
brought-
my nose in the air and let him lead us. Play the haughty elf for a while.
Okay. You are essentially brought to the entrance of the keep. A human man who you recognize from Aelar's illusory image of him as Sherrod Noka kind of comes out. He has heavy bags under his eyes. He's kind of a little gaunt and drawn. He is accompanied by an elven man in lustrous, highly polished, highly ornate armor. The two of them come out, and Governor Pierce kind of bows to the elf, and he says, Commander Den, I had not thought you might grace us with your presence. I thought I would deal with my old friend Sherrod here. He gestures towards Yu's interest. He says, a representative of House Bayleaf has come to lay claim to some property that apparently resides in our dungeons currently.
I snap my fingers for the papers again, because I've of course handed them back to Aelar.
Aelar, once again fumbles, digs them out.
Pass them over.
Um,
And in Elvish to the guard, to Commander Den, I just say, you understand how ridiculous these humans can be at times. Just trying to handle some business for House Bayleaf.
Make a deception check, and go ahead and do so with advantage.
Okay. Not bad. Not as good as before, but not bad. 21.
Okay. He steps forward and he takes the paper from you. You see his eyes scan it. Unlike Governor Pierce, like his eyes actually track across it, like he can read it. And after a few moments, he holds the piece of paper back out to his interest, and he says, "It is a pleasure to meet a servant of House Bayleaf. I am Vermerden. I am in charge of the military contingent that has been left here in this, excuse for a town. He says, my primary task, of course, has been to babysit their former Master-at-Arms and make sure he keeps himself in line. Luckily, he is a spineless coward who would not dare risk life or limb to oppose us. There are indeed two halflings in the dungeons here. I would permit you to descend below and confirm that they match the description of your house's wayward property. If all is well, it can be arranged for you to take them with you and be done with the needless expenses of us sheltering and feeding and keeping them alive for purpose that I cannot determine."
I'll respond to him in Elvish and just say, it's a pleasure to meet you. I am Valra Ondrau, and I appreciate your willingness to work with me on this for House Bayleaf's pleasure, as it were. We've been looking for them for some time, but I believe you said there's 2, and we're supposed to have 4. 2 parents, 2 offspring.
Shakes it. He says, "There are no children kept in the dungeons here. There are 2 halflings of adult age, but if their offspring are also property of House Bayleaf, they did not make their way here." He says, "I know not from where they came, merely that they were picked up somewhere east of here, and Vale's dungeons are currently overfull, so they sent them here once we had secured the region."
In a very, callous, whatever gesture, she just kind of goes, at least we won't have to feed the children. And just kind of waits for him to permit us to go down below.
He, without turning away from you, he goes, "Noka!" And the human Sherrod kind of turns towards him and he says, Yes, sir. You will take a representative of us Belief and their companions down to the dungeon and show them to the halflings. If she confirms that they are indeed their property, you will release them to her control, and you will bring them back to me that I might arrange a proper escort for them back to Tel Vanel. And he goes, of course, sir. He kind of like goes in, be out of my sight. And
I bow my head at him and just smile, like with that, like, you know, the elvish.
I'd like to make an insight check on Sherrod.
sure, go ahead.
19. Basic, the what I'm trying to get a read on is how close is he to snapping?
You can tell he does not appreciate taking orders from this person. The like sort of recognition of this like elf, whoever this person is, the recognition of his like authority over him is deeply grating against him.
Okay, that's exactly what I was trying to get a read on.
Yeah. More than that in terms of like his loyalties and like all that stuff like is probably more than you're going to get from this brief exchange. But like at the very least, you can tell that like every time this elven commander like sort of like snaps and treats him like a servant boy, you can almost like see the vein in the side of his head like he does not care for being ordered around like this. He turns his interest to you, and he kind of like bows, just deeply enough to still be like respectful, but no more than that.
Yep.
And he goes, "My lady, if you'll follow me."
Thank you, sir. And I look at the elf and I cork an eyebrow, like, I'll play nice, and then follow him.
He kind of
down
gestures
to
you,
yourselves.
Gestures you. This is good now. See what there was to see. The chat just let me take a moment here. Chat just says, if I had a nickel for every time Brittany's delve characters had to pretend to be stuck-up slave owners, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't much, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
He leads you guys into into like the main floor of the keep, and then into a heavy like ironclad door, which he opens with a key. That opens into like a stone set of steps that descends down. You guys follow him down a set of stairs, which makes like one U-turn as it descends, and then opens up into a long, narrow stone hallway lined with cells on either side. He kind of like begins walking you through this corridor, and you guys like immediately like you are just assaulted by like a cacophony of like abuse that comes like blasting out of these cells. You realize after a moment it is not directed at you. It is directed at Sherrod. There are men and women in like these cells on either side. They are dressed in like simple like prisoners' outfits. But they're shouting insults at him. They are calling him, like traitor, bastard, like worthless scum, bootlicking, like any terrible name that you is just being hurled at him. And he kind of walks with this like, what's that?
ACAB.
Yeah, ACAB. They yell ACAB at him a lot. You see his like, even from like behind him as you follow him, you can see like his like the muscles in his jaw like working as he like clenches and unclenches his teeth, and he eventually leads you over
Um,
to.
Before
ahead.
before we get to that point, as they're yelling, they really don't seem to like you, do they? Why is that? Besides, you obviously being a jailer.
And
Uh,
while they're
m-
doing this, I have something I want to do too, but we'll do that after you
Okay.
resolve this.
Aelar, make a persuasion check.
Wait. Holy shit. 18.
With an 18, he says only loud enough for like you guys to hear, not loud enough for the people in these cells to hear. He says, "These men and women trusted me to lead them, and they don't understand that being locked in here is preferable to being dead and strung by the neck on the walls of the city. Their disdain is the cost of that decision."
I'm gonna lean in real close to him and get very serious.
Okay.
Not like breaking character serious, but like very serious and say those who often say that being chained and bound is better than being dead don't know what it's like to be chained and bound. And also, a lot of those people end up dead themselves.
Make I guess whatever like social role you feel is adequate for this. Intimidation, persuasion, whatever you think makes sense for like your kind of your intentions with Brahm here.
You want me to tell you which one I'm doing it, or just
Yeah, you can tell me what you're doing. It's fine.
do an intimidation?
Okay.
That is a 22.
Okay. He kind of pauses for a moment, and he says, "Are these the halflings you're looking for, my lady?"
And that's when I wanted to do my thing with all of the noise.
Okay.
And while Ram was doing that, I wanted to use that as cover for the second I see either halfling.
Mhm.
I'm going to message them because I have to, just the cover
Sure.
of the noise, and just say, can I tell if it's the man or the woman? From, like, whoever I see first.
Whichever one you want. It's fine.
Okay. It's Odrion, right?
It is
Odrion
Odrion and Wivina.
Ravina. I'll mess Odrion.
Okay.
Odrion, I'm here to help you. I'm acting like a bitch. I'm sorry. We're trying to get you out and back to your children. Please play along.
Okay.
I swear on my life.
Alrighty. Make a persuasion check.
It's a 19 on the dice, which is going to be ridiculous. It's a 19 plus 11.
30.
30.
You're fine. You see
like,
his
that
like
felt like it
eyes
was
go
too high.
wide for a second, and then he like reaches to the side and just sort of like touches his wife's shoulder.
Does he
And
respond at all, or no?
He does not.
Okay.
I think you get the sense that like he doesn't necessarily understand that he can.
That's fine.
But
I just wanted to
you
give him a
see
heads
him
up.
receive the message, and he like in this like very, it's no more than like a touch on the shoulder. He like taps his wife, who like looks at him, and this like minuscule moment of like telepathic communication between like married people passes between them, and you get the sense that like she gets the message that like something is going on and she is following his lead. They do nothing else otherwise.
And when he points them out to me, then I will step forward, but like not get too close to the bars, as if I'm like disgusted by the whole place because it's a jail and I'm supposed to be a fancy lady.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care. And I kind of lean through and I go, Odrian, is that you? Get over here.
He kind of like steps forward. He says, "If Kios met him."
It is you.
Aelar is going to peer in. Yeah, that's him.
And I look around him to see his wife. Oh, good, she's here too. So only the children are missing.
You definitely see that affects the two of them. They both like.
I look at him like I'm locking eyes with him, and I just like because I'm assuming
they don't say anything. Like they don't know what's
Yeah.
going on, so they were just like shutting up as much as they can.
Well, let's get you out of here and get you home. We'll deal with the rest of it later, shall we? And I turn to Sherrod. They're mine. They belong to House Bayleaf. Let's go. And I step back from the door so that they can. Step
You
up.
step back. Sherrod is not moving.
Is there still a lot of yelling going on? With all
No,
the
it
people?
has like grown
I
eerily
don't.
quiet as like the other prisoners in here like look at this situation. You hear a female voice says like, not to you. You think to
Mhm.
him. Kind of like cuts the silence in this moment where you tell him like, let them out, they're mine, and he hesitates. You hear a voice from one of the cells say, "Go ahead. Give them up to whatever life awaits them back in the Empire. Go ahead, Sherrod." And he's still like he does not move.
Aelar's going to smile and go, or you can reclaim your honor.
And when Aelar says that,
And Aelar says it in his normal tone. Do you remember a scrawny, lighter-haired half-elf sheriff? Be 4 or 5 years ago. Petty theft. Ended up here.
He turns to you and he kind of looks at you.
And Aelar's smiling just a little bit.
You elaborate and you sort of smile. He like looks at you and he goes,
I do this in front of my lips and I cast message to him and I just say, we aren't with them upstairs. We need these two out. We're trying to get this all fixed. And like he can see my lips moving, so he knows it's coming from
Sure.
me. And I say, you can reply to me, but keep it brief.
Aelar, you see, like, he stares at you for a moment, and as you kind of, like, prompt him a couple of times, you see, like, recognition comes over his face. He knows who you are.
Are there any Ignian guards down here?
No, it's just you
Okay,
guys.
in that
him,
case,
and the prisoners.
Okay, in that case, Aelar will step forward. He's going to speaking somewhat quietly, but like she said, we're not with the Ignians. We're here to get these two out, but I see a bunch of very good people that you tried to protect, just like you've tried to protect this town all these years. You can't protect them down here. The only thing that's going to happen is the Ignians will eventually find a reason to either move them along as slaves or put them to the sword.
He looks at you, Aelar. The amount of times we nabbed you for one thing or another, and you slipped through our fingers. You never go into a plan without more than one way out. You have a way out of these dungeons. If this whole ruse had blown up and you'd have been caught down here.
I got 2.
He says, halflings, yourselves, and my people.
I think I can get them
You
all
can get
out.
them out.
I think so.
Drop the ring, Aelar.
You drop them.
No, Aelar's gonna actually. He's before he drops the ring, he's gonna scribble a quick note. Walter, come through first. May need pass wall,
Okay.
and you'll put it inside the ring like it's a napkin ring and drop it in.
All right, you drop the ring in. Anybody doing anything else?
I'm keeping an ear and an eye out on where we came down from, in case any of them are like, what's taking them so long? But other than that...
So that's the kicker here. Is, you know from Walter, he's going to check once every 30 minutes. The kicker is, how long until Walter checks? I think what I'm going to do is
Can we have like a gauge of time? Like, would we know approximately how much time it's been since we left?
Unless you guys have, there's really no way to know like when Walter is going to check. So what I'm going to say is like, unless you guys
have sending.
Yeah,
You have
I was just gonna say,
unless
I'll
you
cut
want
it
to
out.
do something else, I'm going to have you make a roll, and based on that roll, see like how quickly Walter gets your message to see if this like gets through to him before like an awkward amount of time passes.
Okay.
I'm gonna look at Sherrod and say, how much time do you think we have before they get suspicious of us being down here?
He says, you came down here to look at halflings?
2 halflings.
Minutes, at best.
I look at Aelar. I know this is perhaps dicey territory here. I point at Sherrod. Do you trust him with one of your bags for this purpose?
He's a bastard, but he's always been a lawful and a decent one.
He kind of
I
smiles a little
will-
bit, and he says, he says, how much time do you need?
We can make it a little faster.
Aelar's thinking, how deep down are we underground?
A story?
Okay, so we can pass wall up. Spatial sense. Like the end of the jail cell block, up and out. Would that be like the opposite side of the building from the front?
If I'm not gonna get too technical about like the layout of stuff, I will say like if you find a way to get Walter and Osrius in here before some shit kicks off, like I will say the pass wall technique will like make a passage for people to get out of here.
Okay.
Okay.
If that's the plan, then I'm casting sending to
Okay.
Walter.
Then Aelar is going to address the police, the former guards, and then
Don't make
explain
a
the
scene.
plan.
Don't make a scene yet. If they all start yelling or talking too loud, that's going to draw attention. Just wait.
Okay.
Let's get Walter down
Um,
here. I
okay.
cast sending to Walter and say, get your butt through the bag. Right now. You and Oz down here quickly. We need the pass wall.
Okay.
We're getting out.
You send that like 10 seconds later. You get back from Walter. 20 count, pull me out of the bag. 45 count, pull Osrius out of the bag.
Okay.
That's the response you get.
I'd say that out loud. Wait.
Then Aelar has the bag. He's
know. Should Sherrod be like opening cells and getting people out slowly and quietly?
So
at this
what is
point?
gonna happen? What happens at this point? You
Getting nervous now.
bring you talk like we have a way out of the cell, and then you like pull 2 fucking guys out of like a fanny pack essentially, Sherrod like looks at you, looks at all of this. He looks. The people in all the cells are just dead silent at this point, watching this. And he says, "You need to escape." Yeah. He reaches onto his key ring, and Aelar, he hands you the keys, and he goes, "Honestly, not that I think you need them, but open the cells, get everyone out of here. I'll make sure you have the time you need."
Aelar's gonna look him. Look down at the keys. Look at him. Thanks. And he's gonna wait for him to, turn his back. And the instant he does, Aelar is going to use the heavy end of the heavy end of the keyring to crack him on the skull and knock him out.
Are you dragging him with us?
No, I am giving him plausible deniability.
Okay.
Aha.
So, Sherrod hands you the key ring, and he puts his hand on the hilt of his sword, and he says, "I have always imagined that we live in a world where the powerful pay their debts. Deep down, I'm naive. But this is worth it." Get them out of here. And he pulls his sword from his scabbard and begins to walk, like, as he's gonna head to the stairs. Like, you get the sense, like, he is going to go to the top of the stairs, exit the dungeon, and fucking start a fight and hold them off until you guys can escape, is essentially, like, what the sense you get of his plan is.
I look at Aelar and I say, "Do you want me to stop him? To take him with us? Or are we letting him have a stand? Quick." I'm like walking after him. Like, I'm like about to touch him. I'm like,
No, they need a leader.
Okay. I back off. I was gonna
No,
grab him.
Aelar was saying, no, they need a leader.
So grab him?
Yes.
You crack him with crack him with the key ring.
Yep.
Make a just roll a
I was gonna grab him a dimension doors out of here because I know where we came from. I was like,
17 on the dice plus proficiency dex, something like mid-20s.
Okay. So you just like jam this like iron key ring into the base of his skull, and his he just like a light switch just crumbles to the floor.
And Aelar will catch him and make sure there's not a whole lot of noise. "I am really sorry. I have never done that before, but Rax would kill me if I let you die like this." He's going to turn to some of the guards and they out. "Carry him off. I know he betrayed you, but he did so to save your life. Please return the favor. Because trust me, he hates them as much as you do."
So you're like unlocking keys.
Yep.
Unlocking cells. Some of them come out and like kind of pick him up and are holding them. They're kind of milling around. One of them goes like, "All right, so you've knocked out the leader. You've knocked out you knocked out Sherrod. We are still stuck in a dungeon with a bunch
point
of
to Walter.
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck is the plan here? What are we doing?"
Okay, Walter.
To which Walter is like, "Shovel." To which they're like, "What?" To which Walter is like, "This." And he's like, takes his shovel and just like bang, like clangs it into the stone wall of the side of the jail. And like when the entrance to Diagon Alley opens up, all of the bricks begin to like rearrange and whirl back and open, and this archway in this tunnel opens in the solid stone of the dungeon. To which Walter goes like, "Everybody out!" He says, yeah, so he does this, and he goes he's like, everybody out. He's like, fair warning, this will be open for an hour. I cannot close it, so we need to fucking go. And everybody's like, oh.
Out, everybody.
People
I
start
will-
You three, carry him.
You see a shaft of light appears from the grounds above, where the tunnel that he has opened up opens to, and several of the guards begin to scramble through it. Some of them drag the unconscious form of Sherrod with them. You guys everybody starts to cluster around the entrance. The two halflings kind of cluster near you guys, and as we are getting down kind of to the last of it, all of the guards, Sherrod, have kind of made their way out. It's just the last guard jumps in, begins to scramble through this tunnelway. It's just you guys and these two halflings. The door to the top of the dungeon opens up, and you hear the voice that you recognize as Commander Den. He says, what is going on down here? It has been long enough. You have your property or not? And you hear several footfalls begin to descend down the stairs.
Aelar's going to push everybody through the door, and he's going to use the Arcane Trickster ability. Since the guy has not seen it, he's going to cast a silent image of the wall right in front of the thing, and he's going to be like, go.
So
Brom is going to...
So he will not get his advantage at seeing through it, because
He didn't see it happen.
if it's cast from surprise, it is disadvantage.
No problem. What are you doing, Brom?
Brom is going to, with the Bandor, cast somewhere far, up close to the, basically the bottom of the, where the bottom of the stairs meets the hallway, cast Entangle.
Oh, shit. Okay. So, poof, the door bangs open. What is going on down here? It's taking long enough. And you see your footsteps come down. Aelar, weaves an illusory wall in front of you. Brom, you strum the Bandor, and, out of the stone wall, it seems, all of these, razor-sharp, stringed instrument strings shoot from the wall and begin to you hear them ping 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 tangle around. You hear this sharp cry of what, the cells, they're open, what is happening? And all bedlam breaks loose as you guys go begin to dive into the tunnel that Walter has opened, and that is where we will end tonight's session.
One last thing is they run. Aelar is gonna go, thanks, Pierce, as he runs out.
All righty. Well, with that, you guys dive into the tunnel, making your escape, and we call an end to tonight's session. So, thank you guys for joining me. As always, my players, thank everybody at home who hung out with us tonight during stream. Tune in to all the Proficiency Bonuses, other shows here on the network. Join us specifically next Tuesday for Pirates. Pirates next week, who are in a similarly precarious situation, as they just met the titular dragon of Dungeons and Dragons, and then the week after that for Fools, and so on and so forth.
We're in a dungeon
forever. That's right, they are in a dungeon. They met a dragon.
We're in a dungeon, and they're meeting a dragon.
We did it, folks.
Won the game.
Thank you once again to our sponsors, Little Dragon Corp and Cardboard Castle. Please feel free to check them out if you need dice or tabletop RPG stuff. And do not forget to join us next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. I love you. Bye.